Hello, everybody. Welcome to my new Sunday market breakdown. As usually, we start on the DXY on the daily chart. So, what can we see on the daily chart? Last week, we had here that first leg, corrective second leg, impulsive third leg, corrective fourth leg. And what we can see right now is that this bullish M making a potential fake out. So, if I put my horizontal line at this daily higher low wick, you can see it didn't broke yet below that. We tried to break it. We tried to break it here. This wick came all the way till this low and it closed with some bullish momentum back up in that zone. So the only thing we need to be careful for right now is if I take my black line, horizontal line here at this daily low, you can see it has a break and a retest. So when we had here that daily bearish candle close below it breaking, we acted as resistance and went to the downside. And now we are coming back and we can potentially again act as resistance. But if I go to the weekly, what can you see on the weekly that can confirm that this can be a potential push back to the downside is because we are closing below these weekly highs. So we have this weekly red candle close that is closing below this weekly horizontal line, and this can be a potential resistance to complete this shoulder one here, head, shoulder two, within that a bullish M. So this can potentially happen because we close below it, so it can act as resistance. And if we look more further back in the history, you can see this horizontal line acted as support, false break as resistance, here support, resistance, a little bit of resistance, support, is a false break as resistance, support, resistance, potential resistance again because we are closing below it. So this can be a sign for us that the market wants to go to the downside to complete this pattern within a pattern on the weekly. And on the monthly, I said also last week that we had a potential shoulder one here, had shoulder two where the liquidity was taken potentially from, which we are now doing with that weekly bearish candle close with closing below the supply and demand zone, which can now be that nice thing to see to have that move to the downside potentially. So this is a thing we needed to look at. So what I want to see for the DXY right now is that on the 4 hour, because on the 4 hour we are having lower lows and lower highs. We have here this high, new low, impulse, correction, high, impulse, and again now an impulse. So we can see the momentum is a little bit changing. We have here the impulse, correction, impulse, and again impulse with one candle. It comes back closing above here, and now we have some corrective nature potential with the trend. So we have that next impulse potentially happening. So what I expect for the XY is, or what I wanted to see is just a close above this zone here, above these highs like this. Then we have this first leg, second leg, third leg, and then this potential shoulder one, head, shoulder two here, pattern in a pattern on the 4 hour. And then the liquidity is sitting here from that weekly to push it back to the upside, and from that daily, as you can see, buyers, 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 and potentially again buyers. So that's what I want to see right now on that 4 hour chart to push the price potentially up, because this can hold the price down this zone and we are still in a bearish trend. So this can also yeah, play out. So you need to see which is the favorite thing that the market wants to do is to go to the downside. The trend is your friend, as the saying goes. So that's what I wanted to see, a push to the upside like this, and then push back, and then we can have some liquidity again from this zone, and then we can potentially push to this daily TP, daily minus 27, or again beginning of correction. So then the first trade I'm looking at, USDCAD. So this is a trade that we need to see what the DXY will do because on the daily, it's still for me bullish. On the daily, for me, if I take here that, yes, that brush. So if you take here, this was your low, this was your high, low, new high. We have that clear bullish M here, impulse, correction, impulse, correction. So we have still clearly that impulses and corrections. And as you can see, this impulse we received after this A, B, C correction with a new action from this daily low. We grabbed the liquidity from this daily supply and demand zone, acting here as resistance, false break acting as support, resistance, support, support, and then we received a daily bullish impulsive candle close. So for me, this is a sign that the bulls are present when we took some liquidity here, and after that we made a daily bullish candle close. So we have a bullish M that can potentially play out. So if I go to the weekly, what can you see on the weekly? The weekly, the trend and momentum is against us. So for me, this is your trend, your high, your low, high, new low. So this is your bearish W. And as you can see, the momentum is still bearish. We have this momentum. 3 weeks it went to the downside, and then we are making then that impulse for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 weeks long. So this is for me already a corrective nature of the market that goes counter to the trend correct. So what do we receive? Potentially an impulse back to the downside. That's the normal thing the market will do. But we can see the market also grabbed from that monthly low the liquidity to go to the upside, but it's not that convincing for me. But if we look just the criteria, we have a candle close, a bullish candle close for us. So this is this one. The trend and momentum are against us, these two. And the fib is also against us. The fib from this high till this low is against us. And then what could I see? The supply and demand zone is still working for us because we grabbed the liquidity from this weekly supply and demand zone selling zone here, this one. Then we went back to the downside and then we tapped our daily zone and I put a horizontal line here and you can see this is acting clearly as resistance when we are below it, when we close above it as support, resistance, resistance, support, support, false break, support, resistance, here again support, here we went below it, we act as resistance and now we are above it, we act as support. So for me, the price can still go to the upside and if you place also here a horizontal line. Like here, we are also closing above it. So this can potentially also hold as support. As you can see here, this will also support, resistance, support, support, support here, potentially for going back to that weekly zone. So it's really nice holding there. So the supply and demand zone is helping us to go and push back again to the upside. So the daily was clear. We have that bullish momentum, bullish M, ABC waveform, bullish candle close that the bulls are present. And on the 4 hour, what can I see? On the 4 hour, we have still a bullish trend. For me, this was your last low and this is your new high. We're making here high, high, new low, and then we made a new high. Really big impulse. As you can see on the daily, this was also a corrective nature, and now again we have an impulse. And now we can receive correction. As you can see, impulse, correction, potential, impulse again. And if you look closer, when we tap the daily zone of interest, this daily zone, because this was also your shoulder one, head, and then within that a bullish M, so a pattern within a pattern. And why does it have that liquidity here? Because the daily was sitting here and that 4 hour pattern in a pattern, and we moved to the upside. So for me, what I can see on the momentum here is because here we had a pattern touch, a daily zone of interest touch, we had that impulsive move. And then we received that correction A, B, C correction waveform, and then we received again an impulse. So for me, this can be a potential pattern within a pattern because this can be our bullish M, first leg, second leg, third leg, fourth leg, and then this shoulder one here, head, shoulder 2 aligning here with this support zone, support. Then here again, if I put it more like this, then you have here again your resistance, resistance, false break, resistance, and your support here. So this can be a trade to take, but we want to see what the DXY will do. The thing I hope it will do is that push to the upside, pushing above these highs potentially, and then making that corrective nature ABC, and then we can go to the upside if the DXY has switched. So this is what I'm looking at. So it will depend on the DXY, what it will do there. If you make this push, then I'm looking to USDCAD to take it. Then the last one, silver euro, Xast euro. So if I go to the daily, this is for me a high potential trade actually. Even I normally don't trade this kind of trades, but we can see we have a clear pattern within a pattern. So for me, we have here a first leg, second leg, third leg, fourth leg coming back, and within that a shoulder 1 here, head, double bottom, shoulder 2. So this is your pattern within a pattern. You have here your ascending trend line holding price up. First touch, second touch, third touch, we received a daily bullish candle close. If we look at the momentum, this is clearly bullish momentum. This is clear your correction, impulse, correction. You can see the price is resting here. So the sprinter is resting to prepare itself to go to make that next move to the upside, to potentially make again that sprint, that marathon. What I can also see is we have here, or had also here, then the bullish M also here, and we grab that liquidity also from this IC here, this small shoulder 1 here, this head, shoulder 2, so we have multiple patterns within a pattern, and we grab that liquidity from this IC here. You can see this week we grabbed that liquidity and went to the upside. So for me, the bulls are kicking in. And you can see on the daily this shoulder 1 zone, head shoulder 2, this daily zone. You can see it's clear supply and demand zone. Acting here as support to went to the upside, acting as resistance, support to went to the upside, touching this previous structure, then acting as support to went to the upside to grab liquidity from this selling zone, then acting as support to fill this zone till this support wick. And then here again, some support, support, resistance, potential support. So for me, this whole zone is a really nice blind man zone. So aligning with that ascending trend line, of course. And then on the weekly, what can we see on the weekly? For me, the weekly is in an uptrend, still bullish. So why is that? Because we had here our last low. This is our last high. These are the same highs, so we expect the same lows. We expected this is then the natural M. We grabbed here liquidity from this weekly buying zone, and then we made a first leg, second leg, third leg, fourth leg, bullish M, coming back till this IC here. So this IC here. And we grabbed that liquidity from that daily and went a little bit to the upside closing. So for me, it's a clear high quality setup. Normally, I won't take these trades, but the weekly is aligning. That weekly smaller pattern here, bullish M, I see with a daily pattern within a pattern and the multiple patterns and the momentum. The momentum is clear impulse correction. And if you look closer here, we can see this as your impulse correction. We grab that new action from this weekly higher low zone, new action, and this weekly major low liquidity. And as you can see, this can also be our A, B, C correction, fib completion from this high till this low, fib completion, and we went to the upside. So this is a clear trade for me. So the daily was clear. We had these multiple patterns. We had a daily supply and demand zone that can hold the price up. The liquidity was already taken from this IC here. And then on the 4 hour, what can we see? The 4 hour, This was your low, and this was your high. Impulsive move from the daily, and then that corrective nature on that 4 hour. And what we can see on the 4 hour, we had this high, low, high, low, high, new low, and then we made a new high. So we are potentially shifting from momentum, and we are potentially turning into a bullish momentum if we are making then this potential M. And what I can see right now is this potential shoulder one, head, shoulder two with resistance in the head can play out, aligning with this supply and demand zone on the 4 hour, resistance, support. And if you look more further back here, resistance, support, resistance, 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 false break, resistance here. So it's a clear zone for me. So I expect the price to come back to this shoulder one, impulse, potential correction, A, B, C. Then we can grab that liquidity and we can move to the upside, flip from this low till this high. Then you can take 2.5% out at a minus 60, 80 potentially. And why I put at my stop loss below this low is because I was seeing on silver euro there are some wicks that can take me out also. So I was looking to the charts and I put it a horizontal line here at the shoulder one, black line, and were the biggest wicks. I can see this was a wick. This came all the way till this low, till this zone. And also if I look further back, this one is the biggest one. This one is the biggest one. So this grabbed liquidity and went to the upside. So I can put my stop loss below this week to be sure, because my RR to the daily TP is for around 6%, so it's enough, and I want to play safe on this kind of trades because we want take a trade to win, not to lose. So we have this mindset to take trades to win, not to lose. So these are my two setups for this upcoming week. I hope you liked it, and there are some more setups that I'm looking at, but these need to have more development the upcoming days. So I hope you liked it, and see you next week. Bye.